Hey, what's up you guys, this is MCLegoboy here with a different type of video this week. If you're new, I typically make Lego set reviews, mostly older Star Wars sets, but today we're going to diversify a bit. Today, we're going to be talking about Star Wars The Clone Wars since its final season is beginning in February on Disney Plus or your preferred streaming platform that flies the Jolly Roger. Now, if you're new to The Clone Wars but want to watch this final season, but don't have the time to watch a movie, 121 episodes, and 4 story reels on StarWars.com, what are the bare essentials that you need to know? Well, I've narrowed it down to 4 themes for episodes and arcs, and they all interconnect. This final season will have 12 episodes, and with the information we've been given, we already know 4 of the episodes will be the Bad Batch arc, finished story reels, not the aforementioned ones, that were released on StarWars.com and also in Star Wars Celebration Anaheim. The next is an arc called Ahsoka's Walkabout, and then the final one will be the Siege of Mandalore, which has been referenced a few times in Star Wars Rebels and The Mandalorian. With that knowledge, the 4 themes I have chosen are the 501st and Domino Squad, Ahsoka, Mandalore, and Maul. Yes, that's kind of a spoiler, but if you've seen Rebels or Solo: A Star Wars Story, that was already kind of spoiled for you. I've prepared a list, and the downside is that this list contains 49 episodes. Yeah, it's a lot, but you can't really trim it down much further than that. This list only includes episodes that contain recurring characters that affect one another throughout the series, that will have a direct impact on each other and their decisions in the final season of Star Wars The Clone Wars, based on what little information that we actually know. I shopped this list around to a few friends, separate from one another. They didn't even know who else was seeing this list, and they all came to the same conclusion that this is about as trimmed down as you could get, and then they proceeded to give me episodes to add to the list, which I declined. My original list had 47 episodes, and then somebody mentioned one thing, and then it got me thinking about other stuff that connected in with the episodes that I had already chosen, and then I added 2 more. So, technically, yes, they made me add more episodes, but they weren't episodes that they suggested. It's really hard to narrow down because we just don't know everything that's going to be in this final season, and there's a balance to what is necessary and trying to cover all possible bases, for always in motion the future is. Believe it or not, for being an anthology show, Clone Wars, for changing the story up every 3 to 4 episodes, is actually really interconnected. And finally, before we get started with this list, we're going to be going in chronological order because, just like anything else in Star Wars, episodes were released out of order and across the timeline. Seriously, what? But don't worry, there are only a few outliers. Most of this is in a straight cohesive order. So to start things off, we're skipping the movie because outside of knowing that Ahsoka is Anakin's Padawan and Captain Rex leads the 501st alongside him, there's nothing from the movie that you really need in order to follow our list. We begin with Season 3, Episode 1, Clone Cadets, which follows a group of 5 clones, Heavy, Echo, Cut Up, Droid Bait, and 5s, the Domino Squad, as they work on their final stages of training before being deployed. These guys appear in multiple episodes and are some fan favorites, which leads into the next episode, which is Season 1, Episode 5, Rookies. This is Domino Squad's first mission after graduation, and they quickly learn that training can only get them so far. Now we go to our only arc that has no theme, it's just context. What am I, nerd sync? Just kidding, Scott, you're great. The Dooku captured arc is included here just to really give background on the recurring character of Hondo Ohnaka, who captures the Sith Lord and a couple of Jedi for good measure too. There are a number of great episodes that he stars in that aren't included in this list, but for the roles he plays in future episodes that are on this list, this is all you need. We now jump to the second Battle of Geonosis arc. This theme for the arc is Ahsoka. Now, this is in Season 2, What's so special about these episodes over all the ones that feature her in season 1? Basically, Ahsoka becomes friends with Vera Sofia. That's literally all I'll share. The rest are spoilers, kind of. But the two are the stars of 2 of the 4 episodes in this arc, and you see just how differently they act. And the arc is just great, so it's on the list. Now we jump to an arc featuring the 501st, with Season 2, Episodes 9 and 10, Grievous, Intrigue, and The Deserter. Now, these 2 episodes were aired together back in, 2009 or 10? Something like that. And it's really more the second half that you're going to get the most meat from. So if you really must, then just watch The Deserter. Every episode always starts with a kind of a recap of information that either happened in previous episodes or does the narrating crawl type stuff where it gives you information that you haven't seen yet before. But with The Deserter, Rex and his inner circle of guys are out on a mission, and Rex comes across a clone that has deserted from the army after the first Battle of Geonosis. You know, that part where the movie's title actually makes sense. And this is the start of a number of philosophical debates between clones throughout the series. And although it is never referenced again, running into this deserter does have an impact on Rex and his actions from this point forward. Now we begin the Duchess of Mandalore Arc. This introduces you to the world of Mandalore in the show and a number of key figures that recur, like Duchess Satine Kryze, Prime Minister Almec, and the terrorist group Death Watch. You also learn that there may be another secret romance beyond just Anakin and Padme. Ooh, so scandalous. Continuing with the Mandalore arcs is the Corruption arc. These 2 episodes may be ancillary. It's really hard to say because the events that occur in them are referenced a lot. But the characters within the arc also make returns, and I believe context to be important. And also, as a slight bonus, this has Ahsoka in it, and character interactions here may play a part in the Siege of Mandalore. And then now to a singular episode, Season 3, Episode 2, Arc Troopers. Our boys in the 501st and Domino Squad defend their homeworld of Kamino from the Separatists, and some life-changing promotions are given. Heading back to Ahsoka, we go to Season 3, Episodes 10 and 11, Heroes on Both Sides and Pursuit of Peace. The most important stuff happens in the first half of this arc, where Padme and Ahsoka smuggle themselves into Separatist space to meet with a senator and try to end the war through legislation than violence. Ahsoka also meets the new recurring character of Lux Bonteri. While their mission goes well, we soon learn that it may have grave consequences. And now we really shift into something truly fun and surprisingly refreshing, which is the Nightsisters Trilogy. This arc is needed backstory for what is to come later. Dooku is ordered to kill Asajj Ventress, his prized assassin and would-be apprentice, had Sidious not sensed the plot against him. While the attempt on her life is unsuccessful, it leads to a desire for her to return to her kin, and they plot to give Dooku a new assassin that is secretly under her control, and one that shares blood with a Phantom Menace of the past. Returning to the clones and Ahsoka, we have the Citadel arc. Evan Peel and Captain Tarkin hold valuable information for the Republic, but have been held prisoners by Separatists in a prison that is virtually inescapable. Some life-altering events occur for our men of Domino Squad, and Ahsoka breaks a few rules for their mission to be a success. We continue with the 501st and Domino Squad with the much-beloved Umbara arc. This arc is almost nothing but non-stop action, but it also dives into the philosophy of clones and how they follow orders. Anakin has been pulled away from his men, so our boys in blue in their snazzy new armor are under the command of Jedi General Pong Krell, whose tactics, while effective, typically result in many casualties. Could this just be the result of carelessness, or are there ulterior motives? We jump back to Ahsoka and Mandalore as themes in the one-off episode, Season 4, Episode 14, A Friend in Need. Lux has gotten himself mixed up with the Death Watch and has pulled Ahsoka into the fold, which she might not mind despite the number of red flags that do appear. The episode serves as a reminder as to who is still in play, but it also is important to future stories. The events of the Nightsisters Trilogy bring about the next arc, the Return of Maul. Now, to be honest, the first 2 episodes don't have anything to do with his return, but they are key episodes for Asajj Ventress and put her in place for future stories in this list. As for his return, I find that it's really well done, despite how controversial it may be for George to have brought him back in the first place. I'm a huge Maul fanboy, so like just seeing him return's great. Maul is aware of the Clone Wars, as he was originally supposed to be part of them, and he has plans of revenge for many people. Jumping back to Ahsoka, we have the Onderon arc. Now, to be quite frank, I don't know how much this will affect the events of the final season. This is very covering all possible bases situation here, but it involves the Jedi helping to organize a rebel cell on the separatist-occupied world of Onderon so as to not spread the Republic forces out quite as thin. This is actually Lux's homeworld, and while the Jedi initially train the cell he's a part of, they depart and only leave one member behind to monitor, Ahsoka. She helps aid in their plans in helping the cell gain citizen support instead of leading the fights, but she is also constantly losing focus because there is a conflict of interest. Returning to Maul in the Lawless arc, his plans lead him to banning criminals from across the galaxy to take over the planet of Mandalore. The plans go very right and also very wrong, depending on your point of view. The planet is plunged into civil war, and we are unsure where the story leads from here as far as the show is concerned. There is the Son of Dathomir comic, but hopefully we get a short adaptation to properly set up the events of the final season, which, again, we still have a bit of information about, but not a lot. Now we go back to Ahsoka. You got Whiplash yet? We come to the big finale of Season 5, the Sabotage Arc. I don't know if that's the actual name of the arc. The real one might be a spoiler. But somebody has bombed the Jedi Temple, and while she was nowhere near, evidence is planted to point the blame toward Ahsoka. Betrayed by those she considers friends and family, Ahsoka is forced to make tough decisions that will affect those closest to her and her own reputation. And our final arc on this list is the Conspiracy of Order 66 from the Lost Missions. This is technically Season 6, but they never called it Season 6. Everybody just lists it as Season 6. It was called the Lost Missions, and it's a whole thing. I'm not going to get into it. But anyway, Fives of Domino Squad and the 501st discovers something terribly rotten is hidden at the core of the Grand Army of the Republic and struggles to get the truth out there. Is he successful? Well, you can probably imagine the answer to that, but this will affect characters in the future. We've even seen so in a few examples from Rebels. And from there, it's time for the final season. From what we know, here's what's going to be happening in broad strokes. The Bad Batch will focus on the 501st fighting alongside Clone Force 99, the Bad Batch, genetically altered clones with specific enhancements to accomplish their goals, and along the way, they discover a clone that's been missing in action for quite some time. Now, if you really want to spoil yourself, these episodes exist as story reels on StarWars.com, and I imagine they're only being included in the final season because there was a screening at Star Wars Celebration Anaheim where all 4 episodes were premiered, and fan reception from that and online has been really high. But based on the teaser trailer from Comic-Con 2018, this arc might also just smoothly tie into the events of the Siege of Mandalore. Again, we don't really know. Ahsoka's Walkabout is about Ahsoka heading out on her own for a bit and going on some misadventures with people she meets along the way, and we'll see her cross paths with a familiar helmeted face based off of the trailer we saw at Star Wars Celebration Chicago. This is the arc we know the least about, as it has actually been changed from what was once revealed to us after the show's initial cancellation. This info was packed with a ton of concept art and unfinished animations for various stories that were slated for up to an 8th season. Like, it's insane. But that 8th season would have ended with the Siege of Mandalore. It's the big bad finale and sees Ahsoka leading the 501st against Maul on Mandalore, and Order 66 just might be on the horizon. See, all 4 themes have finally come together. You now have everything in your arsenal that will get you to the final season of the Clone Wars without just watching the whole series. But that's still not a bad idea. Believe it or not, there are a ton of things that give context to some character actions and motivations, like the Battle of Ryloth, the Mortis arc, the Slavery arc, the Most Dangerous Game arc, the Deception arc, the Jedi Younglings arc, and there are some great episodes and arcs like Ambush Bounty Hunters, The Rise of Boba Fett. Literally anytime Cad Bane is on screen, I've said that like Savage Opress is my favorite character from the Clone Wars, and he's great. He's a tragic character, but I have come to the realization that Cad Bane is my guy for Clone Wars. And finally, another great arc is Yoda's Force Journey. If you have the time, just watch the whole series, and you can really go either in release order or chronologically, with my only caveat being, if you go in release order and you haven't watched the show before, maybe have the episode guides on StarWars.com at your side during the first half of Season 3, or at least like a chronological listing. It's a mess. Like, it jumps all over the place. Season 3's little subtitle headline thing was Secrets Revealed, and there are episodes that take place both before and after Season 1 episodes. Like, you got a Season 3 episode, 1 episode, 3 episode. And that happens like 2 or 3 times. It's insane. But this has been MCLegoboy with the essential episodes you need before watching the final season of Clone Wars. You've got 2 months. Get to it.